Alina runs through a frozen forest, terrified and covered in blood. Her breath shakes in the cold air as she stumbles through the snow, desperate to escape. In the distance, she spots a red glow from an old building, a faint sign of hope. But before she can reach it, a dark figure in a black cloak grabs her by the throat and whispers a single name, Andri. Alina jolts awake. It was only a nightmare. But that name was no coincidence. Andri is her fiancé, and the two are only days away from their wedding. To prepare for their future, Andri has been working non-stop, saving every bit of money he can before the big day. Still shaken by the dream, Alina confides in her aunt, Yevdokia. Her aunt believes it was nothing more than a strange vision that holds no real meaning. She reminds Alina that she knows her own heart, and encourages her to clear her mind and let go of those dark thoughts. Later, when Andri comes home from work, Alina greets him with warmth and love. The two live in a small Ukrainian town called Konotop. But peace is slipping away. Russian forces have begun their invasion, crossing the border near Nobil and attacking along the eastern front. One of the targets is the region surrounding their hometown. As the danger draws closer, Andri makes a quiet decision. He takes Alina and leads her toward a safer city. Only then does the truth come out: he is not just an ordinary citizen. He is a Ukrainian military cadet. His plan is simple: get Alina to safety, then return to his base and fulfill his duty. But the war has already spread faster than they expected. Enemy troops block the main routes, forcing them to find another way out. Alina begs Andri to stop at her aunt's house instead, believing it will be safer. But as they cross a forest road, they are stopped by Russian soldiers, and there is no path left to turn back. Andri tries to remain calm, acting like a harmless civilian simply passing through. But one of the soldiers provokes his commander, suggesting they seize the couple's car for the army. The situation grows darker when the soldiers begin eyeing Alina, and their commander agrees to take the vehicle, on the condition that he can harass her first. At that moment, Andri snaps. His anger, fueled by love and patriotism, erupts. He reaches for his weapon and opens fire, taking down the soldiers one by one. Bullets fill the air as the Russians return fire, and Andri and Alina run for their lives. Through sheer will and desperation, they manage to break free and escape into the night. From that reckless act, the Russian commander finally realizes the truth. Andri is not a civilian at all. Several soldiers are wounded, and one is killed instantly by a bullet to the eye. Even though most of them survive because of their vests, the unit is left humiliated, caught off guard by a man they underestimated outside of any battlefield. Andri and Alina eventually reach Aunt Yevdokia's home. But the moment they arrive, the relief they hoped for turns into heartbreak. Their pet dog has died, struck by a stray bullet during the chase. Even worse, Alina discovers that Andri has been hiding a serious wound. He was shot in the chest earlier, and the bullet is still lodged deep inside his body. She rushes to get help, but the damage is too severe. No matter what they try, Andri cannot be saved. At that point, Alina remembers her nightmare. The dark figure calling out Andri's name, and the feeling of losing him. What once felt like a dream has now become reality. Her vengeance begins now. This is the witch, revenge. That night, the Russian troops quietly wrap the body of their fallen comrade. By morning, Alina is cleaning Andri's lifeless body with trembling hands. Her grief is overwhelming. She whispers that in all her life, through countless wars and endless death, she has never felt pain like this. Andri was her purpose and the reason she chose to live as a human. Now that he is gone, she swears that every soldier who took her happiness will pay, and none of them will die quickly or peacefully. With her heart filled with vengeance, Alina walks to a long-sealed room and opens it using her own blood. Inside, a mirror reveals a tattoo on her arm shaped like binding chains. The truth is finally revealed. Alina is an ancient witch who has lived for thousands of years. She once sealed her powers away so she could live a quiet and mortal life. Andri was the reason she chose peace. Now that her love has been taken, the darkness she buried begins to awaken, and her thirst for revenge becomes her only purpose. Meanwhile, at the Russian encampment, the commander, Rovny, delivers grim news. Their food supply route has been cut off after a Ukrainian strike destroyed their provisions. On the other hand, there is news that lifts the soldiers' spirits. They have been granted permission to act independently, which means they can now loot the local population without restrictions. Without hesitation, the troops storm into nearby homes with brutal force. One resident begs for mercy and insists he owns nothing of value. After a search, they find something the soldiers consider far more precious: a young virgin named Ketnia. One of the soldiers, Bandos, immediately tries to harass her. Another soldier, known as Owl, refuses to take part. He remains loyal to his wife and will not cross his own principles. Outside, several soldiers stand guard when a fearless middle-aged woman approaches them. She shouts in anger and curses their cruelty, warning that a terrible punishment will fall upon them. Her words only fuel their rage. Kalaz, one of the soldiers, snaps and shoots her in the head without a second thought. Soon after, the rest of the unit returns, carrying sacks of stolen food and loot. Ketnia is dragged back with them, still tied and gagged, and is handed over to Bandos, who continues to torment her because no one else wants to stop him. Meanwhile, Alina has awakened her full magical power and begins her revenge. She takes a sample of Russian blood from Andri's car bumper and uses it as the channel for her dark spell. That night, a soldier named Solur suddenly becomes violently ill. He vomits hair and thick black liquid, and a small piece of paper falls from his mouth with a message that reads, "This forest will become your grave." The agony continues as his legs feel like they are being sliced apart from the inside, until he finally dies in a horrific state. The other soldiers simply assume Solur suffered a heart attack, completely unaware of what truly killed him. Bandos, still drunk on his own cruelty, finishes his vile act and laughs loudly. He mocks the others and challenges any soldier who wants to take their turn with Ketnia. Commander Rovny, however, starts to sense that something is wrong. He orders Bandos to release her. Frustrated, Bandos drags Ketnia far from camp and abandons her on the side of the road. Moments later, a car approaches. It is Alina. She opens the door and silently offers Ketnia a choice, the chance to take revenge for everything she has endured. At that same time, Commander Rovny has a terrifying dream. He finds himself inside Aunt Yevdokia's house, where the witch tells him that he and his men will die. He wakes up in shock, breathing hard, and tries to shake off the vision. In the distance, he sees Bandos, who has wandered away to relieve himself. To his horror, Bandos urinates red liquid that looks like blood, as if his own sins have begun to pour out of him. Elsewhere, at one of the guard posts, Owl sits alone thinking about his family. He hears a strange whisper and dozes off. When Alina arrives, she raises her hand to kill him, but stops when she sees a family photo pinned to his jacket. She takes the photo and leaves him unharmed. This mercy is not repeated at the second guard post. There, a soldier named Roller sees money scattered on the ground. Lured by Alina's whisper, he follows the trail of cash without thinking, wandering farther and farther from his position and into her trap. The next morning, every soldier receives the same chilling message. It reads, "This forest will become your grave." The unit immediately remembers the paper that Solur threw up right before he died. Even so, Commander Rovny dismisses their fear. He insists that it is nothing more than a Ukrainian cyber tactic, a psychological operation designed to break their morale. He orders the men to stay focused and not fall for intimidation. Despite his command, one of the soldiers named Ufa reports something strange he discovered in the forest. The unit moves out to investigate. What they find leaves them uneasy. Hanging from the trees are voodoo dolls swaying in the cold air. The commander begins questioning the guards who were on duty the night before. Owl explains that everything felt quiet, and that the only person who might have seen something unusual was Roller. That is when they realize Roller is missing from his post. A search party spreads through the woods and soon finds footprints. The trail leads them to Roller, tied tightly to a tree with his mouth sewn shut. Before they can react, Alina sends her dark magic from afar. The moment the soldiers approach, Roller's body explodes in a violent blast. Even after witnessing such horror, Commander Rovny refuses to believe in anything supernatural. He is convinced that all of this is a trap and that the real mastermind must be the Ukrainian military. Meanwhile, Alina pushes deeper into her ritual. She summons spirits of the dark to strengthen her growing power. Outside the house, Aunt Yevdokia hangs her laundry when a flock of crows suddenly drops dead from the sky. Alarmed, she rushes inside and finds Alina preparing a deadly curse aimed at Owl's family. Terrified, she begs Alina to stop. She knows exactly where this road leads. If Alina continues, she will lose control and turn into a merciless demon, a creature that eventually destroys its own body from the inside. But Alina does not care about consequences anymore. Her heart is ruled by vengeance. She rejects her aunt's warning and reminds her that she is far older and far stronger. The truth is revealed. Yevdokia is not her blood relative. She is a woman Alina once rescued during the Second World War. Since then, Alina taught her pieces of witchcraft. Although the aunt is not immortal, her aging slowed to a fraction of normal human life. Even so, her worry and her pleading cannot change Alina's resolve. The witch's vengeance only grows. Back at the camp, Owl is grieving while gathering what is left of his fallen comrade. In that moment, he receives a message about his family. His anxiety spikes. He asks the commander for permission to step away and get a stronger signal so he can check on them through a video call. But just as he tries to share a photo, the signal suddenly vanishes. Commander Rovny becomes suspicious, accusing Owl of imagining things. He orders him back to his post, convinced the enemy is using illusions to draw them out and ambush the camp. Moments later, the signal returns. This time, multiple photos arrive on Owl's phone, showing horrifying images of his wife and child. Desperate and shaking, he sees an armored vehicle nearby with its hatch open. Owl jumps in and drives away, hoping to escape and save his family. But on the road, a vision of Alina appears in front of him. Panicked and out of control, he crashes into everything in his path. He even runs over a fellow soldier by accident, crushing him to death. The unit finally stops him, and Owl is captured, beaten, and tortured by the commander and the others. The next morning, the silence of the camp is shattered by explosions coming from every direction. Panic spreads instantly. They soon realize that their own weapons have turned against them. Alina has taken control. Elsewhere in the forest, Kalaz, separated from the group, suddenly sees the ghost of the woman he shot in the head. Terrified, he fires wildly at the vision, not knowing it is only an illusion created by Alina. The witch then appears before him, taking the form of Commander Rovny. In that disguise, she kills Kalaz and rips out his heart to grow even stronger. Back at the house, Alina devours the heart with savage hunger. Aunt Yevdokia watches in horror, sensing that something unnatural is happening to Alina's body. The aunt tries to reach her, but Alina, overwhelmed by rage, lashes out and wounds her by accident. She warns her aunt to stay away until her vengeance is complete. That night, the remaining soldiers gather, shaken and exhausted. One soldier whispers about an old legend, the Konotop witch, and claims it must be connected. Commander Rovny still refuses to listen. He orders the men to stay awake and commands them to capture the enemy at any cost. When thick fog drifts through the forest again, Alina uses it to deliver a warning directly to Rovny. She tells him that resisting the Konotop which will only lead to death. By morning, something even more disturbing is discovered. The corpses of the fallen soldiers have vanished. One man mutters that this is the work of demon worshippers, but the commander forces everyone to follow a fresh trail of blood. At the same time, Bandos begins to suffer from a mysterious illness, vomiting blood as a cockroach crawls out of his body. The search leads the unit to a horrifying sight. Human limbs and organs hang from the trees like trophies on display. At that moment, Alina appears, but only Rovny can see her. His fear takes over and he fires randomly into the forest. Bandos escapes and tries to seek help in town. Instead, he comes face to face with Ketnia, who now demands vengeance. Alina cannot be killed by bullets yet, but her power is still incomplete. Each life she takes brings her closer to losing control, as her body falls deeper under demonic influence. Chaos spreads among the troops. The commander, now consumed by paranoia, shoots one of his own men who tries to desert, accusing him of cowardice. The remaining soldiers reach Alina's house and split into two groups. Two of them wait outside, but an argument turns into a fight, and one kills the other in sudden anger. Inside, the commander and another soldier search through the dark hallways. They find fresh blood, and soon the soldier becomes trapped in an illusion. He fires at what he believes is an enemy, but it is only a bottle of acid. The glass shatters and the acid melts through his face, killing him in a gruesome scene. Driven mad, Commander Rovny believes he has finally captured Alina. He assaults the figure in front of him, not realizing he is actually attacking his own soldier. What remains of his sanity collapses. Alina no longer hides. She steps forward and finishes what is left of the unit, leaving only herself and the commander alive. At that moment, Aunt Yevdokia arrives, crying out for Alina to stop. She reveals a truth that cuts through Alina's rage. There is a child in her womb, Andri's child, a life she never knew she carried. Desperate, the commander grabs the aunt and tries to use her as a hostage. But his weapon becomes useless under Alina's magic. He is finally defeated, powerless and broken. Alina stands at the edge of revenge and redemption. She wants to finish him, yet she cannot bring herself to destroy the last link she has to her humanity. Aunt Yevdokia offers a different fate. She proposes that they strip the commander of his mind and deliver him to the Ukrainian forces as a helpless madman. Alina agrees, ending her vengeance without taking the final life. The story closes with the birth of Alina's child. She holds her baby, no longer the woman she once was and not fully the monster she feared becoming. The ending leaves a haunting message. Revenge may satisfy the heart for a moment, but it always drags the soul closer to darkness. So the moral of the story is do not mess with an ancient witch, Do not start a war you cannot win, and definitely do not anger a woman who just lost her fiancé.